Hello and welcome. It is I, Stephen W. Skinner, and this is Friends of the Show, a podcast where I talk to some of the funniest and most interesting people I've met online and in real life. This is the very first episode of the show, so thank you so much for listening and getting it on the ground floor. I really hope you'll stick with me for future episodes. I have a ton of great guests lined up for you this season, and I'm getting better at hosting, I swear, each time. So, a little bit about the show. Basically, it's just a chat with a friend, and then I ask them to bring a story, some tweets, and then I get them to answer some questions submitted via Twitter, just to spice it up. Follow FOTS Pod on Twitter and hear your question read on a future show. Our very first friend of the show is Jess, at JessOKFine on Twitter. Jess is one of the best and kindest people I've ever met through Twitter, so that's why I was so lucky to have her agree to be on the pilot episode. And I already have plans to bring her back because she continues to be the best. And now, without further ado, I present Friends of the Show, episode number 1 with Jess OKFine.
Wherever she went, including here, it was against her better judgment. Dorothy Parker.
I've said many times that I think she would have just absolutely killed it at Twitter because she's got so many one-liners and kind of throwaway jokes that are super witty and clever. And I told you when I was giving you that quote, I could have picked any number of her quotes to use there. But considering my first podcast appearance, I felt like this was an appropriate quote for the occasion.
Jess, say hello.
Hello.
This is it. This is the first episode, very first Friends of the Show, and I'm very lucky to have you on, so thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So, the first thing on the agenda is your story. Let's get some background sort of leading up to that story.
All right. So, I don't want to Florida explain what wakeboarding is, but I don't think everybody probably is familiar with it. It is a water sport. It's similar to snowboarding, but it is done on the water, and it's kind of like water skiing, but instead of skis, you have a board. It's sort of like a snowboard, but it's strapped to your feet with boots, and you get pulled behind a boat with a rope that's tied to the boat. So that's how you wakeboard. I live in Florida, and at the time this story takes place, I was probably in my early to mid-20s, and I was living here in Florida, and wakeboarding is a popular summertime activity. But at this particular point in my life, I had never been wakeboarding. And I have siblings. I have actually 4 sisters, and is a pretty avid wakeboarder. And she had convinced me on this particular day to at least try to wakeboard, which I had never wanted to do or tried to do because I'm not a particularly coordinated person. So I didn't ever try it before this particular day, but on this day she convinced me that I should go ahead and try wakeboarding. So that's sort of the scene of when this story takes place.
So this is your first time wakeboarding, but you're with some experienced wakeboarders who kind of know what's going on.
Yep. And we're out on the boat, and it's not my boat, and it's not my wakeboard, and I've never done this before. So that's where we are.
Right. And we're off the coast of Florida or in a lake?
We're actually in the channel, which the part of Florida where I live, there's rivers that run out into the Gulf. The Gulf of Mexico. So we are in a part of the river where you're allowed to drive your boat fast, but it's not the ocean. So there's not a particularly large amount of waves, but there is a lot of boat traffic.
Right. So it's like a straight
And the reason you want to be in that, it's straight path, and you want to be there for wakeboarding because you get the waves off of other boats. You get the wake so that you can actually wakeboard. You take the boat up over other people's wake, and you can get air and do flips and stuff, which obviously I was never going to be able to do, but you can if you're good at it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone's there. You're ready to wakeboard. So it was a bunch of people?
Yes, we have a boat full of people, family and friends. It was probably... It's a fairly big, probably 10 people, maybe a little bit more on the boat.
Oh, nice boat.
And I got on the board in the boat, which you have to strap your feet into these boots. I've never been snowboarding, but my understanding is that they work pretty much the same way. You strap your feet into the boots are attached to the board. And so the plan was, I strapped my feet in. My plan was to sort of swing my legs over the edge of the boat and drop into the water, and then you sort of float behind the boat with the rope. And when you're ready, the boat goes and you pull yourself up to your feet using the rope.
Right.
That's the plan. That did not work out. I swung my feet over the edge of the boat, but I did not make it to the water. The side of my bathing suit bottom actually got hooked to the boat cleat, which you use to tie the boat up to docks.
Oh, no.
So I got hooked, and I'm heavy now because not only do I have my body weight, but I also have the weight of the wakeboard. And most of my body, I'd already committed to going over the side into the water. So I am hanging now from my hip from the side of the boat, and my head was in the water, but my rear end was attached to the side of the boat. And I will just, there's no nice way to say it. My entire backside is completely exposed at this point. And I'm hanging upside down, head in the water. And the weight of my body had pulled the bathing suit so tight that nobody could get it off of the boat cleat.
Oh, no.
And so I was yelling to the people in the boat to just cut my bathing suit, just cut it. Like, just somebody
cut
get me loose. And they, I guess, were trying to find something. It felt like forever. It probably wasn't that long, but we're in the middle of the channel, so boats are going by in every direction while my entire butt is in the air. And I was like, I was mortified. And eventually they did get me cut loose, and I did fall into the water, not very gracefully at all. And then I climbed back in the boat, and I never went wakeboarding again.
Wow, that was quite the story. I'm sure all the listeners are just picturing it right now, right? Everyone is picturing that in their mind's eye.
It was a wonderful time. It was a wonderful time. It was one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me. But it was a funny story. I mean, looking back on it now, but I've never tried it again. I've been traumatized. It was not the wakeboard's fault, but even still, I can't do it anymore.
The sport of wakeboarding took the hit for that embarrassment.
It did.
Well, that was a great story, Jess. Thank you for sharing that with us. You're a pretty good writer, actually. You're a very good writer. I love reading your writing. I think everyone should go and check out your writing. And I've linked some of your pieces on the show notes for this episode. So the ones that I picked out were The Time I Got Lost in Marrakesh. That's a great one. I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause you're like a world traveler. You're pretty an on-the-go and worldly person, so that was a good one. Sort of a good example of of your writing and the life you've lived. The second one that I picked out was I went looking for religion and found Twitter. That obviously spoke to me because
that's a good one.
It was good. It's really good. Actually, could I read a quote from it? I thought that was pretty good that I'll read a quote. So you're talking about how you were looking for like religion or church, and then you found Twitter. So in the last stanza, I think you say, so I found a church. I went once, and it was fine. Everyone was nice enough, and they were all dressed like a Banana Republic catalog, happy and glossy. I saw potential, and I planned to go back. I also planned to run more and buy some nicer clothes. Around the same time, I started using Twitter. I used my real name, used hashtags, I followed famous people. Then something happened. I found funny people, normal people who are just really great at making jokes in 140 characters. I watched, I learned some things, I made jokes, and got feedback, and my account grew. I went anonymous. I took some bolder risk that I would otherwise be a hindrance on my career or personal life. I met some really wonderful people. I found kind, funny, witty, lonely people. People who I grew to care about and enjoy and built friendships with. People who I still call my friends today. We understand, they said. You're doing something right. I found community and acceptance and validation in the network I built online. I never went back to church. I thought that was great. Obviously really well written, and it really spoke to me because that's exactly what we're doing here. I'm trying to, get some of my Twitter friends on this show so everyone can learn about how cool all these people from our community are, and yourself obviously included in that grouping. So thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, great. So that was it. First segment down. Boom. Right on tack. Keep this podcast train a-rolling. So this next segment is Talking Twitter. So today yesterday and today I sent out some tweets asking Twitter friends to send some questions for you. Okay, so first question came from our buddy Timmy, to Timmy Toes on Twitter. His question is, number one toy / thing you wanted as a kid that you never got?
You know, I saw that question. I saw him ask that question, and I honestly cannot think of anything. And that is terrible. I mean, I don't think I was that spoiled of a child, but I honestly cannot remember. I'm sure there were things that I really, really, really wanted, but not getting them hasn't traumatized me.
Right. So,
remember it
yeah, you
into
can't
my
remember.
adulthood.
Don't think of anything. Well, that's good. I think that shows that you're a
I
pretty
can't
well-rounded person, right? Like you're a good. I can picture you as like a good kid growing up. That you never like threw a hissy fit to get that one special toy.
Now that I remember, and I don't think it was just that I got everything that I wanted. I just don't think if I wanted it was fleeting enough that it hasn't traumatized me. I'm sorry, Timmy, that I did not thoroughly answer your question.
All right, well, sorry, Timmy. That's a half answer, but, maybe ask a better question next time.
I'm sorry. Let's say it's Timmy's fault.
No, it's fine. So next up, our friend Brian C. Thayer, at Brian C. Thayer, asks, most memorable breakup? Preferably middle school / awkward stage story. So he's looking for some sort of juicy gossip, some sort of awkward this is growing up story. So I don't know if you have anything like that.
Let's see. I did. I mean, I'll say I dated, quote unquote, because it's, air quotes around dated, because I'm a person like 14. I did have a quote boyfriend when I was in middle school, and it was the most ridiculous. It was the most middle school relationship. Like if you had to imagine one for TV, I don't even remember. I think a friend of his asked if I would go out with him, and then we like never talked to each other at school, and he'd call me once a day, and we didn't have texting back then, so he'd call me at like 7:00 every night, and we'd talk for like 20 minutes, and then that would be the end of it. We never talked to each other at school during daylight hours. But he broke up with me by having a friend of his call me, and he was also on the phone. It was the weirdest.
The three-way call breakup.
Yeah, it was a 3-way call breakup, and his friend like did all the talking, and it was so weird. Any time, which it's hard to recognize awkward when you are so awkward yourself, I think. But even at the time, I knew it was really weird. Like, this is a strange thing that's happening. So I just kept saying, okay. Like I agreed with everything, and I was like, that's fine. Okay, I don't care. And that was the end of it. And yeah, then we broke up. But it was such a non-relationship in the first place that I guess it counts, but it is definitely an awkward middle school phase story of how the whole thing from start to finish was, I think he might have asked me out by having his friend give me a note, which is even more middle school.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's, it's been a few years, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Total
it was
middle school relationship.
A 3-way call breakup.
Wow.
Yeah, it was for sure a middle school relationship.
Well, it sounds like you got a juicy story out of that, Brian. So hopefully that answers your question. Great pull there, Jess. And yeah, the middle school relationships, they weren't anything, right? They're not doing anything.
No, they were not.
The not talking to each other. That was when everyone would stand on the walls at the dance, right? The guys on one side and the girls on the other side. Yeah, classic days.
I think we were all still afraid of each other.
Yep. Yeah.
So I was, boys are still afraid of girls and girls are still afraid of boys. So dating is not really a thing, even though we say it. You would say they're my boyfriend, but it was really a name only.
Yeah. It's just like to brag to people. Oh, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah. That was pretty much it.
Okay, cool. So moving along. Our friend Ty he asked a few questions, but I plucked this one out of the several that he asked. It's at SuperTY on Twitter. Are you having children for the sole purpose of making them ghostwrite your tweets for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. He knew it. He knew it.
I get so much out of Twitter that it warrants all of the sleeplessness and expense of children. That's it. Really, I break even that way. That's how I'm monetizing it.
Yeah, that was your goal, right? That's the goal of having children.
Yeah, that was the goal. Yeah, I was awake for most of last last night with my newborn son, but one day he's going to be able to write me some sweet, sweet tweets. So that's really
that's the
light at the
payoff.
end of the tunnel.
Yep, that's the big payoff. All right, well, there you go. Ty at Super TY. There's your Jess answer. Okay, so I think we should preface this next group of questions with a little bit of background again. You like to tweet out cow facts. So can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe like how did that start? What is it, and
Sure.
What's that all about?
Sure. Actually, I had somebody ask, "Why are you like this?" in response to my cow facts, which I think is a great. Why are you the way that you are? It all started. I tweeted. I have a lot of tweets that are like this, where it's just a one-off stupid thing that I tweeted out, and one of them was a cow fact, and I wrote a fact and I said cow facts at the end, period. And it, for some reason, struck a chord, and I got, I don't know, like 25 retweets. And I was like, what in the world? You just never know what's going to hit an audience on Twitter. And this was one of those things, and people seem to like it. So I did another one, and then people eventually started saying, hey, you haven't done a cow fact in a while, so do one. So it became kind of a thing. And I enjoy them. I like cows, and I like sharing facts about them. I think they're really pretty interesting animals. So I have no problem tweeting out cow facts, and I kind of love that that's the thing. I had actually a tweet before my cow facts run. I had a tweet that said, I know a lot about cows for someone who looks like they don't know anything about cows. And I kind of have stuck with that. Like, it doesn't really seem like the kind of thing I should be into. I mean, I don't know if anybody is particularly into cows other than farmers, but it's an interesting topic for me, so I really don't mind doing it. But it all started because, I listened to my friends, and they said, hey, we like cow facts.
Yeah, that's it. So it's created a movement, cow facts movement. Everyone loves the cow facts. So we got a bunch of cow facts questions actually came in for you. So we'll start with these cow facts questions. Lo, who is at Low Sucks on Twitter, she asked, please ask Jess, cows for me? So the question is just cows?
Okay. I mean, I'm going to have to say yes.
Yeah,
yes, I think so.
Obviously. It's
cows.
Yes. It's yes. The answer, it was always yes. Yes. So there you go, Lo. The answer is obviously yes. So next cow fact question came in from Dave K, at Dave K _says, so this is a great question. I mean, just straight and simple. What's your favorite cow fact? So I don't know if you have one handy or if you have to look back through your notes. What's your favorite cow fact?
I'm not, I don't know if it means one that I've tweeted or just in general, but my favorite thing about cows is how intelligent they are. I think that, and I have several tweets that are kind of along those lines. Things that they're social creatures, they form bonds, they mourn losses, and they remember things, they'll remember events, they have friends and friend groups, which I think is really interesting. Wow. Not a lot of animals do that. And humans tend to think of cows as kind of being these big, dumb, oafy type creatures, and that's not the case at all. And that's probably my favorite thing about them, my favorite fact about them, that I think changes people's minds a little bit, or perceptions a little bit about cows, and I think it's really only because they're big that people think they're probably also dumb, but horses are big too, and people think they're smart. So elephants are the same way. Elephants are social creatures that'll have family groups, and they'll bond and mourn and that kind of thing. And it makes it difficult when every time I tweet out something like that along those lines, I always get questions about whether or not I'm a vegetarian. Because
right.
It is difficult to say cows mourn the death of their loved ones and then also eat a hamburger.
Right.
But I say the cow facts don't have any, they're just facts. The facts are what they are. And,
yeah, these are the facts.
I eat meat, I eat beef.
Deal with it.
I eat beef, but also that's the thing with cows. So if you're going to eat one, at least know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The intelligence of cows obviously grossly underestimated, because the way that they're portrayed in the media. Oh, these cows are always portrayed as so dumb, but
oh yeah,
like you're saying, they're smart. Give them a chance.
Yeah, guys, this media is so unfair to cows. The negative press.
Negative press, fake news about cows. Okay, so next cow fact question we have is from Robert Manchild, at Robert Manchild on Twitter. The question: what fake cow facts should we be aware of? So just like what we were just talking about, the dumbification of the cows.
That they're
Is that what
dumb,
you're thinking?
yeah.
Yeah. That's the number one fake cow fact that's out
one.
there? Yeah.
I think so. I also, a lot of times it's the four stomach thing. A lot of people like that
Right.
one, that cows have four stomachs.
And is that true?
They don't have four stomachs.
They don't.
It's untrue.
What?
They have one stomach. It's a ruminant stomach, which means it has four compartments, but it is technically one single stomach.
It's a
and
technicality.
it has four different parts that do different things.
So that's an actually, right? Like actually, it's four compartments.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I mean, does it matter? Probably not. I mean,
it's yeah.
Ultimately, it's like the thing with dogs being colorblind. It doesn't really matter. They do have four parts of their stomach, but it is only one single stomach. It just it works differently, and there are a lot of animals that have that, a lot of livestock, that kind of stomach, but for some reason cows got the four stomach reputation out of all of them.
Well, good to set the record straight. We're setting the record straight. Check here for cow facts, your number one source for cow facts, at Jess Okay Fine on Twitter. So yeah, and for the dog thing, the dog thing, I think I've tweeted about that too. How everyone says that they're colorblind, right? So they only see gray is the joke, right? But they see blue and yellow. They see shades of blue and yellow as well as gray. So that's my actually of dogs being colorblind.
Sorry, actually, yeah, dogs are not actually. Oh, everybody loves an actually on Twitter.
We love a good actually.
Yeah, we love it. It is. Your joke is factually incorrect. A guide to dying alone.
Yep, crappy stuff for jerks.
Some clever thing.
Yeah.
That's the classic tweet on that. Don't actually people.
Yeah, don't actually anyone jokes. On Twitter.
Don't do that.
But do link to that. Do link to that actually. Crappy stuff for jerks tweet.
Yeah.
Great. So I think that brings us to the end of the cow facts questions, but we do have a few other questions from Twitter. So first question, it's a two-parter from Mark McGark at Markedly on Twitter. Good friend of ours. So his question is, Jess, A, why did you disturb that evil witch you found? And B, was it worth it?
Okay. That's
it's not a weird question. It's not a weird question. It's very straightforward to me.
That is not a question. It is related to a tweet, and yes, it was worth it. And why wouldn't I disturb the evil witch? I mean, if you find a witch, you're going to try to figure out what's going on there. So, I mean, I don't think I can be blamed. And yes, it was worth it because I personally did not get turned into a gnome.
Yeah, I guess you got away fine. So what's the problem?
I got away fine. I got away fine enough to write a song parody about it, and it worked out great.
So what's the tweet that it is referencing? Can you give us the background on that?
It's actually, I wrote it for a song parody contest. It is a parody of Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now.
Okay, and classic jam.
It is, yeah, classic jam, and it is I Think You're a Gnome Now. And it's that I think you're a gnome now. I shouldn't have disturbed that evil witch we found. Think you're a gnome now in a pointy hat standing on the ground. I think I got pretty close to actual words.
Beautiful.
But I had to cut very, very slim on characters. So I got creative with my conjunctions and use of apostrophes. But I'm pretty sure that those are the words. But it parodies Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now. And I wrote it for a contest. And I didn't win.
You didn't win with atrocity. That? Oh,
but,
I don't know. Can we reopen the voting? Or I guess... It is a long time ago, but
I know I don't even remember who ran the contest, but I'm still upset.
At least you got a good tweet out of it, right? That's a pretty good tweet, I think.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, and so the last question that we got was from Rob Elliott at Rocky Momax, and he says, "Jess is the best." Almost rhymes. What are your favorite words that rhyme? Jess? What are your favorite words that rhyme?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. My favorite rhyming words?
Yeah, favorite rhyming words.
Oh, gosh.
Orange?
I don't know.
No, that's a bad one.
Orange is a bad choice.
Yeah, orange is not a
I don't
good
know.
one.
I have to read a lot of books that rhyme right now because I have a toddler and
Yes.
all of the books seem to be written in verse. So, I mean, I read a lot of rhymes. I don't know what my favorite is. It would be really hard to choose.
You can't choose. You just can't separate them. All right, well.
I really can't.
Hey, if there's no answer, there's no answer. Sorry, Rob.
Sorry, Rob. Come back later.
Yeah, try again. Okay, so that's the end of all the questions. So great job answering the questions. I think we did.
Thank you.
We
Great
did
job
it.
asking the question.
We made it through that part of the show. So let's see what the next part is. I asked you to send in some of your own personal favorite tweets. So I guess I'll just look at these tweets here right now because they're very funny, and I think everyone should know about how funny your tweets are. So the first one is one of my favorites from you, where you say, "I learned all my flirting from lizards, so I just do a bunch of really fast push-ups when I see a cute lizard."
Yeah.
Boom! Lizard joke.
That's one of my favorites that I've written, and we have a lot of lizards here in Florida. I don't know, maybe all over the place. I'm not sure. We have them here, and they do the push-up.
Love that push-up.
And I've never particularly understood why they do that. It has to be either a dominance or a mating thing, I guess. So yeah, I saw a lizard doing some push-ups, and I started writing that tweet, and then I had originally said I just do a bunch of really fast push-ups, and then I decided to make it when I see a cute lizard because I think that's funnier. So I know it's always best to explain why you think a joke is funny.
That's
it makes
exactly
it so much
right.
funnier.
Yep, jokes. Explaining jokes is the number one thing. So you added the second lizard part, and that's what really popped it off. You think when you see a cute lizard?
That's what made it one of my favorite jokes that I've written.
Yeah, it went from a good
I
to a great, right? With that extra addition.
Well, I don't know about great, but it amused me. So I hope some other people like it too.
Yes, very good. I like it. So that was number one. So number two, another great tweet. You knock on the melon to test freshness, but something knocks back. Dum bum bum.
That one was that people really liked that, and I didn't know. It wasn't really the normal style of my tweets. It wasn't exactly a joke, and it just came to me, and I tweeted it, and it did a lot better than I expected it to do. So I'm glad that other people like it. And some people think it's really creepy, and other people just say, "Oh, that's good." And so I just. Yeah, it's a little different than my normal style, but I enjoy it too.
Yeah, hey, I think it's a great one. And yeah, it's not like a joke per se, but it is very funny and interesting. Just like you can really picture it.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final one that you have submitted for yourself is look at you putting your bag of popcorn into a bowl like the Queen of England.
Yeah. Yes. That was probably the first tweet that I had that really kind of got big. It was, and I don't know how big it is. I haven't looked at the numbers.
The numbers are, it has 1,400 retweets and just over 3,000 likes. Actually, almost 3,200 likes on that bad boy.
Okay, so there you go. That's a pretty substantial number of people that have enjoyed that tweet.
It's a good one.
And it almost immediately got bigger than all of my other tweets. So it moved up the ranks really quickly, and
so it skyrocketed to the top.
It was so kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I, oh, look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants. And I always say, and this is going to be an obscure reference, but like the Queen of England, that part, I always, in my mind, say it like Liz and Liz, which was a sketch on Nick Kroll's comedy show, which is really obscure.
Publicity.
I know that like two people are going to know that reference. Yeah, Publicity. They say the Queen of England, and I always say it that way in my mind. And for some reason, that's what tickles me about it. I'm the only weirdo who's out there saying it that way, but that's for what it's worth. That's how I pronounce it in that tweet.
Wow, I never knew that. That's a real look behind the curtain there of that.
There you go.
Kroll Show reference. Everyone, go check out Kroll Show. It aired on Comedy Central. It's a great show. Nick Kroll, awesome show. Check it out. Okay, so those are great tweets, Jess. Very good job. So I have asked you also to send your favorite tweets from anybody all over Twitter. Could be anybody. And you've sent 4 funny tweets from some different tweeters. So let's get into those. The first one you sent was by Ray, who's a very popular tweeter online, at Sir Eviscerate, as everyone knows. And the tweet that you picked for him, I'll try to do my best. It's like a back and forth. So, what's your bid? 6,435,765, Drew. You think this dinette set costs $6.4 million? Lips right on mic. Yes. The lips right on mic.
I love that tweet.
Did he invent lips right on mic? Is that the first lips right on mic?
I don't know. It is the first one that I ever saw. And
let's say
I don't know if
it
he
is.
was the first one to ever tweet it, so I'm going to claim yes for Ray's sake. It was the first time anybody ever had said that online, but for some reason, the image of a person, and it's specifically him, like it's his face when I imagine this tweet. It's Ray with his lips right up against the microphone saying yes and bidding $6.4 million on a dinette set. And it just cracks me up. I love that tweet, and Ray's great, and I get a kick out of it every time. Every time I see it, I retweet it. So I probably retweeted it thousands of times, but I do really love that tweet. By the way, as an aside, picking my favorite tweets was really, really difficult. And I don't know whether if you asked me today, I would pick the same 4, but I do love all of these 4 very dearly.
Okay, yeah, I mean, these are just an example of some of the few tweets that can be found on twitter.com. We should say that we have a lot of very funny friends in our circles that come up with these really funny jokes all the time, and I'm hoping with the show to, bring these people to light, and so everyone can enjoy them like we do every day. So yeah, that's sort of the reason behind this also. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, it is. It's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to say this is the number one. This is my number one favorite. No, it's sort of just these are some
these are necessarily
great ones.
Always my top 4.
Yeah, these are some great ones. Okay, so the next one is from Living Marble at living_marble on Twitter, and the tweet is, it's really good. You got to get into character. Of course, I'll take my husband's name. Clenches fists. I'll take everything. You gotta love a good, you gotta love a good clenches fists tweet. It's almost like lips on mic at this point, right? The clenches fists.
Yes.
But also just really good.
I love I'll take everything. That's such a great. I had never thought about that twist on taking your husband's name, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it's great. That one's perfect. So follow Living Marble for more fun tweets like that. Okay, so the next one is by AF Bradstone at AF Bradstone. And his tweet is, pretty sure I contacted hepatitis from going on a song lyrics website. What's wrong with those song lyrics websites?
They're always, and I don't know if it's not a very popular tweet, I'll say. No offense, AF Bradstone. It's not like Ray's tweet that has, I'm sure, tens of thousands of retweets on it, but it has resonated with me so strongly because every time I try to Google the lyrics to a song, I end up on the sketchiest looking websites that are written in HTML and you can hardly read the things, and they're in I don't know if bots write them or what. They're written in these big block paragraphs and they look terrible and incredibly sketchy. And so the idea of contracting hepatitis B because you went to a song lyrics website was really funny to me.
I
keep telling him that I think it's hilarious. And I don't know why it doesn't seem to be resonant. Go like that tweet because I really like that one, and I want other people to like it too.
Yeah, and just FYI for all the listeners out there, all these songs are linked to on show notes at stephenwskinner.com/JessOkFine. I think that's what the link's gonna be. Maybe not. Just go to the stephenwskinner.com and look around until you see the episode number 1 with Jess Okay Fine. You can click on the link and it'll bring you to all these tweets that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, go like them.
Yeah, go like them and follow the people. Great. So the final tweet that we'll be discussing and reading out loud is by Jake at Jake_likes_naps. Jake likes naps. So this one.
Oh God, I'm gonna make you read this one out loud. I forgot that I sent this one to you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm gonna read it, and
Okay, you're gonna read it.
It goes like this. Pugs always look like they've just seen their first titty. It was making me laugh, so it must be very funny because I was just laughing reading it. So, Jake likes snaps. Good job on that one. Very, very good stuff.
That's it.
It's combining.
It's just a class. It's short and sweet, and makes fun of pugs who are just ridiculous creatures. And Kimmy Monty is probably going to kill me for making fun of pugs, but they just look like aliens. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with their faces.
Yeah, I agree. And the
breathe.
sounds that they make those, they have tough
yes.
breathing, right? Breathing issues.
So they are ridiculous creatures. They look like little loaves of bread. And that mental image of a pug that Jake Like Snaps has painted for us is just one of my all-time classic tweets.
Yes, kiss his fingers on that one. Mwah, kiss his fingers.
Yes.
So very good. So great picks on all those tweets, Jess. You totally have a good eye for funny tweets and funny tweeters, and thanks for picking them out. I know it was like a what's that called? Sophie's Choice of tweets, but you you managed to pick some good ones. So and they're the first one, so I really appreciate it. And like I said, they're all linked on the show notes, so go and check them out. Check all these Twitterers out. I just wanted to thank you again for joining me. You're the first friend of the show that we've had on, and it really means a lot to me that you took the time to come out and record this with me tonight. So thanks, Jess. You're one of the best online. One of the best. Everyone follow her on Twitter at JessOKFine. And read her writing on Medium. I have a link in the show notes.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks, Jess.
I really appreciate it.
And I guess that's it. So thanks.
All right.
Thanks again, and let's see if I can get this thing going again. I'm not distracted. And the show will end with theme music again.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, we can talk over it. You can talk over the theme music. You can say bye.
Say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming out. Don't forget to rate and subscribe.
Tip your waitress.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank everyone for listening and following along and interacting and supporting the show in all these different ways. So thank you so much. Also, special thanks to my wife, Kat, and cousin Kyle for their help behind the scenes. Like I said, I have lots of very cool guests coming up, so please check back every week for a new episode. Hey, maybe even subscribe if you like at StephenWSkinner.com. All the links and show notes. Follow me on Twitter at SkinnerSteven, and send me a tweet if you listened all the way to the end of the show, which this is. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one.